In this video, I'm going to talk about the weather in Flagstaff. And it reminded me of a poem that I used to say in my class with my students. Whether the weather be fine or whether the weather be not. Whatever the weather, we'll weather the weather, whether we like it or not. Tanya Hartwell with Village Land Shop and LiveTheFlagstaffLife.com. I'm a local realtor serving Flagstaff and the surrounding areas. I make new videos weekly, so please subscribe and click on the bell to get notifications of future content. The seasons we have in Flagstaff are winter, spring. In the early spring, we have the windy season. After the windy season, we have our regular spring. Then we have summer. Then we have, in kind of midsummer, July, we have the monsoons or the wet season. Then we have our late summer, and then we have autumn, and then winter starting again. In the summer, people love coming up to Flagstaff because it's so nice and cool. The sun is out, shining, but maybe it's 85. In August, we're getting into late summer, and that's the time of year that many people from southern Arizona love to come up to northern Arizona and get out of the heat. Sometimes our monsoons will still be going on then, and they can even go into September. Something that surprised me about the monsoon season is that I would wake up to a forecast that said thunderstorms during the day, and I would look out the window and see clear skies, not a cloud in the sky, bright and sunny, and I would think they must be wrong. I like to hike, so I would get all my stuff together and I would go out for a day's hike, and right about noon or 1 o'clock, the monsoons would hit. By that time of day, the clouds had rolled in heavily and it was dark. And indeed, the rain would be coming down for the rest of the evening, totally ruining my hike. So during the monsoon season, you can definitely count on the forecast to be accurate. Autumn in Flagstaff is filled with the beautiful yellow aspen trees. We also have the ponderosa pine trees, which of course stay evergreen, and we have some trees that turn red, but very few. Then once all of the leaves have fallen and it turns colder and colder, we get winter. During the winter season, you cannot count on the forecast to be accurate. During that time, I call it look out the window forecasting, because I can look out the window and tell better what's going to happen than I can tell by reading the forecast. In the winter, it says we're going to have 1 inch or so of snow. We might have snow. We might not have snow. We might have 10 inches. We might have snow that melts before it hits the ground. So in the winter, you cannot trust the forecast. But you do get really good at reading the sky, and that's kind of cool. What I've heard is that students will decide to come up to NAU because the summers are so lovely. And what they don't realize is that the winters are cold. They are so cold, especially if you are not acclimated to the weather. If you are brand new moving to Flagstaff and you have not lived in the cold weather before, make sure that you get a nice warm coat, warm gloves. Anything waterproof is even better, because if you're going to be out in the snow at all, as soon as the snow gets on your clothes and the heat from your body penetrates through, the snow melts and your clothes are wet, wet, wet. Now, most of the time that I've been here, this last 8 years, we haven't had any snow in Thanksgiving. In 2019, we did. It was fantastic. We had a huge snowstorm. Snow Bowl loved it. All the skiers and snowboarders had a great time. Then we had another huge snowstorm at New Year's. That was fun, and the snow stayed on the ground until late or mid to late January. There were a lot of places that people could still sled in town, and I made another video which you can check out about where to go snow sledding around Flagstaff. Sometimes Snow Bowl will stay open into April, and then you can have some spring skiing and snowboarding, and that's a lot of fun because it's even warmer. A lot of people will just wear a light jacket and light gloves, and the snow can get a little bit slushy, but it's still fun. Going back just a little bit to March, we have an early spring, and we'll oftentimes see a lot of wind, and there are wind corridors. So if you are looking to buy a house over in Doney Park, ask the seller's agent to tell you about the wind corridors and whether or not the home you're looking at is in one of those. So about spring, our growing season is pretty short. Even though spring arrives, it's not really the best time to plant stuff unless you have a cold box or one of those things. What are those called? Oh yes, unless you have a greenhouse, one of those. Often in March and April, we have a snow melting event. Now, with the snow melting event, one of the great places to go is the Grand Falls. It is out on the reservation, but it is a wonder to see. Flagstaff is the city of 7 wonders. If you want to know more about that, you can check out this video here. In June, we have early summer, and unless the snow has really decided to linger on, we have warmer weather, and that's really nice. Then the growing season really gets going. Another kind of strange phenomenon I've seen in the summer is that it'll be pretty warm outside, and yet it will hail. And the first time that happened, a friend of mine said to me, "Welcome to Flagstaff." Thank you for watching my video about the weather in Flagstaff. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. If you like this video and you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up. Share it with a friend. If you have any comments about the weather, leave them below. I'd love to hear about it. And check out my other videos coming up in a minute after the bloopers. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. We will be back after these messages. Oh, I forgot something. This little piggy went to market. Wait, I think I'm supposed to be pointing left. Ooh, yeah. Get your thoughts together.